Somehow, Season 8 has returned, and Sophie Turner was recently asked about them remaking the final season of Game of Thrones, and I thought her response was interesting. And basically, it's all these petitions and things like that. I think it's a lack of respect for the team, the writers, and the filmmakers who worked tirelessly for 10 years and 11 months on the last season.
Yeah.
Just like more than 50 nights filming sessions. So many people worked so hard on that, and for people to criticize it because it wasn't what they wanted to see, it's simply a lack of respect. Now, here's the thing. What bothers me about the Ice and Fire fandom now is the lack of nuance. So I'm just going to echo something I said on social media when I saw this, which is her response here. A lot of people thought it was like a disconnect. Like, clearly the final season sucked. Like, come on, don't you want to redo it? It's not a disconnect. This is something people who have worked on a team through tough times can understand. And this is something you kind of said as well. The product may not be to your liking, but the hours to put this out is something they all share and on some level will defend because of how close they've gotten going through it. Like, you'll see people like Natalie Dormer, who played Marjorie, and Charles Dance, who played Tywin. They'll say it wasn't good, sure, but they weren't there to film those 50 nights in the cold for that episode or go through the emotions of this being the last time everyone's together on the table read.
Right.
It's kind of like you and your team versus the world. And one thing I want to point out, she's not defending the story. She's defending the cast and crew.
Yeah.
She's not really defending Dave and Dan per se, like Dinklage does.
Right.
And that's another case we'll get into. But she's defending the work, the cast and crew, the lighting guy, the fucking guy, the costume people. Like, she's defending the work they put into this, not the story. I want to make that very clear. So she's right in feeling that it is disrespectful because it is to her and her team, which is the cast and crew. Not to Dave and Dan. Though we're not talking about Dave and Dan. They are not cast and crew. Those are her bosses. No. She's defending everyone who worked under them and the work that they did for the last 10 years on the show. And of course, like clockwork, there's always going to be that one person in the comments to say, yeah, but season 8 sucks. Nobody's disputing that. And all you're doing is proving my point correct about the lack of nuanced conversations in this fandom. Again, it's not a disconnect on her end, but she feels proud of the work she and her team, cast and crew, did on the show. It didn't come out that great. That's fine, but she is going to defend the work.
Recently, Man Carrying Things has a video where he's dissecting and trashing
One Battle After Another, the DiCaprio film. Ben Shapiro was talking about it.
Yeah. And Ben Shapiro's review starts out with, look, this movie looks beautiful. The cinematography is great. It's very entertaining. The pacing is great. The acting is great. And then like Ben Carrying cuts in and he's like, so you're sitting there saying the pacing was great. The cinematography was great. The acting is great. It's a beautiful movie. And are you sure you hate this movie? like you hit all of those things. Don't you think that the movie should at least get like a 2 out of 4 stars or a 3 out of 5 stars? And they go back to Ben Shapiro and like his one problem was the writing. And so it is true. And Ben Carrying Things criticism of Ben Shapiro, I would say like, I think that's a pointed criticism of all amateur critics, and we're amateur critics too. That one mistake that we do is that like it doesn't hit exactly for us, and therefore it's a failure. It's a complete failure because it doesn't hit one specific thing that we were looking for. And so I think this also gets into what Sophie Turner is saying is that so many people worked really hard on the later seasons of Game of Thrones season 8, and a lot of things were actually quite perfect. Like a lot of things were done really, really well. I mean, no one sits there and is like, oh, the CGI was horrible in season 8. Like it looked great. It was, like what. No one is
I'm going to quote you. I'm going to quote you. Again, I have a good memory. I'm going to quote you. Something you said 5 years ago when we first covered something like this. Because I said the same thing you're saying now. And what you said to me was, yeah, but a golden toilet is still a toilet, Carmine.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's an interesting question of whether or not bad writing can completely tank something. Like, why don't we say, oh, season 8 was... It failed on a story level, but it actually was mid on everything else because there was beautiful cinematography and the acting was fine and the CGI was great. And it certainly was never boring. I mean, season 8 was never boring. The action was great. It was fine. And yet we still, really blame the writing. And I would say that, no, writing is really important. I'm going back and now saying that, no, writing is really important. And if it doesn't fundamentally connect with you, then what are you doing?
So you agree with Ben Shapiro?
Well, I agree broadly, but once Ben Shapiro starts getting into his analysis, he fundamentally didn't understand the movie because apparently this movie is satire and he wasn't taking it as satire. And he doesn't get it, doesn't get the farce and satire of the movie and thought it was serious and was angry that there are characters that portray something he disagrees with because he thinks that anytime something's on screen, it's an endorsement of that or something. So I haven't seen the movie. I can't say whether Ben Shapiro is right or not, but I do fundamentally think that that writing can be so bad that it can overwhelm everything else.
But also, let's just be very clear here. Game of Thrones season 8 is a very special case because this was a groundbreaking television series for many years. Everybody stopped doing everything they were doing to watch it when it came on, not just the final season. And it can't be considered a failure by any account because HBO did record numbers on this.
Record numbers. I mean, economically, yeah.
So it technically was not a failure, but it was a failure in other aspects. However, I need to reiterate this because, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, 99% of our audience listening to this right now are amazing. You guys are great. But there's always that one vocal minority, that 1% that's just way too stupid. So let me be very clear on this. Preston and I are not defending season 8. What I'm defending is Sophie Turner because I don't think she's having a disconnect right here. I think she's correct. She is defending the work they did together and the work they spent on this. She's defending the cast and crew. Camera guy, lighting guy, janitor, whose job it is to mop up the fake jizz from Tyrion's brothel scenes. She's defending those guys. She's defending her castmates, the work they did. Even though the product they put out wasn't to your liking, they still put their heart, soul, and sweat into this, and she's defending that process. The other person that gets flack is, and I've given him flack for this, is Peter Dinklage on Dave and Dan. And I feel like I owe him an apology because he's done nothing but defend Dave and Dan. And before, years ago, I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Now I kind of get it because Dinklage has gone on to do so many other things. And
I mean, you go from a struggling actor to be a multimillionaire. I mean,
you're going to defend the people who got you to that position.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
So, and of course, who would Sophie Turner be without, not to be an asshole, but who would, Kit Harington, Emilia Clarke, Sophie Turner, Maisie Williams, whatever the fuck she's doing. Charles Dance did stuff every now and then, but he wasn't the powerhouse that he is now before Game of Thrones.
Right, but he was also never paid like they were. They were never like, Charles Dance, here's your fucking $15 million. No, he was never banking. Because remember, they didn't really bank until the later seasons.
Of course.
Charles Dance, dies in season 4. His career wasn't made by D&D. He doesn't get the same sort of loyalty. That's just the nature of it.
Same with, I literally just said her name, but the woman who plays Natalie Dormer. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but a lot of these actors and actresses, they owe their career to Dave and Dan, but Jason Momoa. Yeah, sure. He has not stopped getting work since he has been on Game of Thrones. Before that, what was he doing? So I understand why.
Is he the most successful alum of Game of Thrones?
He might be. It might be a battle between him and Dinklage, but he just
You're
might
right.
be.
I mean, him and Dinklage both get a lot of roles, and And yeah, it is a battle between them. I mean, yeah.
They tried making Kit Harington a leading man. It just didn't work. Emilia Clarke, she got a couple of things, didn't work out. But no, like
the thing is, Lena Headey was already established before. I mean, obviously it's a lot more money for her, but Lena Headey was one of the more established actors before.
And of course, Sean Bean.
Oh yeah, well, Sean Bean is Sean Bean. You know, come on.
Aidan Gillian, who played Littlefinger, he was in The Wire. But no, I just wanted to discuss this briefly because I noticed it was getting some discussion online, and the usual idiots were completely missing what she was trying to say. Because whenever, people hear about season 8, they go into this like feral mindset and lose all reasoning. So.
Oh, you know who might be the most successful alum with Pedro Pascal.
That is true. Homie went from being on Buffy, a guest star role on Buffy, to being in every major franchise.
The leading role. I mean, it's funny that like Pedro Pascal. I mean, now we're on these tangents because it's like Pedro Pascal, essentially a guest star for one season, goes on to have the most epic career. Kit Harington grinds it out for a fucking decade. Every fucking episode.
Nothing. Months
in the snow, months in the cold, doing all these long shoots. Fucking in the cold. I mean, what does he have to show for it besides tens of millions of dollars and an incredibly beautiful wife? What does he have to